Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Itachi13, aka 13 Dragonblade, coming at you with the second installment of Perfecting the Heavens. So, I've already covered mostly everything in my first video. Now we're going to talk about some cons, other combos that you can do, basic combos, and all that other stuff. So, the first combo we're going to finally touch on, because I didn't get to in my last video, is of course the Venus combo. The Venus combo is the most prominent one people know about, the way that you bring out the shine balls. It is completely up to you on how you use the shine balls in any way, shape, or form. Just make sure that you use Venus the proper way. And, of course, have fun. Bring out Gachi Gachi. Bring out Dark Mist if you run it. In my case, yes. Now, the first basic play that you would do for setting up field presence. Summon the Venus. You pay 1,000, you bring out 2 shine balls, you overlay those shine balls, and you bring out your Gachi Gachi Kentetsu. So that immediately bumps her up to a 2k beater, has him as a 22 defender, and just helps set up your field. You can make basic plays, you can set up your graveyard a little bit. This already gives you 3 fairies immediately for if you have Krista in your hand to set up your count. So, say you have a Dark Hole. Dark Hole is obviously one card you would like to keep in your hand all the time. So, that's one card that you have, and you already can establish by sending up 2 fairies. Now, let's go over something else. Let's say you have this, and Jupiter in your hand. Just saying for a random fairy, it doesn't really matter. So, your opponent tries to activate a monster effect, you respond with this, you send those to the graveyard. So immediately those are put to the graveyard and to the side. So, we have these there in the graveyard. Now, you go, you drop the Dark Hole. This brings Venus to the graveyard. This detaches 1 from Gachi Gachi. Now you exactly have the 4 Krista count. So, especially Krista. What you bring back, of course, in this case would be that, because that's only good in the hand. You can also use it for tuning, because it is a tuner, but I would prefer bringing that back to my hand, and I'll still have 2 agents plus a Shine Ball for fodder to bring out from Mr. Hyperion here. Now, of course, we're going to go over the Tsukiyomi method. Tsukiyomi and Dark Hole are pretty much your big assets here, because you can do a lot of plays with just these. You gotta be careful, though, because you have to make sure that you have the right count. So once Krista's on the field, and if you have the Gachi Gachi material, it's already going to beef it up a little bit to a 3k beater. 32 at most, so if anything, you can run another Gachi Gachi if you don't have the Dark Mist, or if you don't feel like running the Dark Mist, run the other Gachi Gachi. You can make it, it's very easy to make. You have 2 Earths, and you have the Shine Balls, so there's always ways to make it. Now I'm going to go over some other text that you can have, of course, or some other combos. Let's say that your Earth and your Venus have gotten removed in some way, shape, or form. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter when, just as long as they're removed. So, those 2 are removed, and you have Tour Guide right there. We all know what's going to happen now. So, the basic thing you would do here, summon the Tour Guide. If you haven't used the Night Assailant yet, you can use the Sangan, or the other Tour Guide, whichever you're comfortable with. You bring out the Night Assailant in defense mode, you overlay it, stack for Leviair. Of course, bring it back. Now, this is where a lot of things may come and seem weirdly. You now have 2 monsters on the field, and a level 3. Well, there's a certain tech card that I sometimes use in place of Victoria, which I will now go over. The other tech card that I use instead of Victoria, yep, there he is. I sometimes switch Birdman in and out, and wow, there's a big glare. So, at this point, you bounce the Venus to your hand. You special him, summon the Venus, you overlay again. This is assuming you don't have your other normal summon, but yeah, there you go. You've officially stacked for his end mains, you've officially made a Leviair in a turn. Now, obviously, you would have to wait sometimes because you cannot do this without double summon. But assuming that you already have the Leviair on the field, you can wait a turn, set a Mirror Force, do whatever you want to get these plays off first turn. Or you have to make sure that you have another Venus in play, whatever the case. As long as you have another level 3 on the field. Birdman's not really dead. So I sometimes switch it in and out for the Victoria. I honestly think that it's much better than the Victoria, in my opinion. That is a huge glare. Anyway, that goes into the second explanation. Now we're going to go over some other extra deck choices that you might want to intrigue. Anti-Zen Mains for Temtempo and Dark Mist. Dark Mist is used to get over a lot of heavy monsters that are in the middle, a lot of boss monsters, a lot of, BLS, stuff like that, Stardust. Stardust isn't really a problem with this deck, but everything else is a big issue, like Scrap Dragon and such. And to get rid of those big EQ monsters, we have him. To get rid of Zen Mains and any other annoying Exceed monsters, we have him. Temtempo is just really a tech card that I like to put in there. He's the best Djinn besides Maestroke. Honestly, if I had space for him, I would run too. He's just like Maestroke, except a little better. And then, of course, we have the extra deck, which is, again, up to your discretion, but I would recommend just a few staples. Just to have a Catastor, because there's a lot of decks that have some variant of a attribute, such as Gigiras, Machinas, stuff like that. Machinas are still running around, which I'm surprised about. Other staple would be a Scrap Dragon at this point. Scrap Dragon's pretty good. It used to be a $40 card. It's really, really good to have. This is really just a tech to have. A lot of people like Thought Ruler, but I think it's pretty good to have because a lot of things target right now. And then, of course, there goes the Stardust. So there's going to be a lot of staple level 8s right here. The only other staple I would recommend is if you can get your hands on a Black Rose, because Black Rosing the field at the right time with the Fairy deck just established you not only field control, but you've just gotten rid of everything they had. And now you're able to set up your plays for Krista, you're able to set up your plays with Hyperion, and it just lets you explode. If you do it at the right time, of course. And then finally, we have Liberian. Liberian, I'm not going to really explain that. That's why he's at 1. He's just so good, especially for synchro-ish heavy decks. If his effect said when a player special summons, he'd be even more broken. He'd probably even be banned. Anyways, that's it for my discussion now, YouTube. So, take a good look at the lovely couple over here. This is Itachi13, signing out.